4th of July, and I chose to make this video today because I'm going to tell my Army story. I'm going to try not to get too sidetracked with all this kind of stuff about should you say support the troops, or is it better to not support the troops because then you're just supporting what they're doing. I will say this on that one of the only reasons the troops are out there doing what they're doing is because you support them. And if they realize, or began to realize, that the people back at home don't support what they're doing, they wouldn't feel as right about kind of basically not listening to their inner voice, because they know it's wrong what they're doing, but they feel like the whole country's supporting them, and they feel like they don't want to disappoint their family, and they want to, live up to that American toughness or whatever. So don't be afraid to offend somebody or to say that you don't support the troops. And I know it's a complex subject, so I'm not going to say any more on it. If you see the flag behind me, that's the real flag. It's not going this way. It's actually hanging down behind me. As you can see, the stripes are actually vertical. They look horizontal right now. That's just because I'm hanging it down. But they're vertical stripes. That's the real United States flag before the war flag was adopted and everybody flies the war flag now. And I'm not going to get into that either because that's not what this video is about. I'm just going to tell my Army experience. My family fell into a lot of kind of like propaganda regarding the military, and it's possibly because of my family's history. There's a man in my family, his name is Sergeant York, Alvin York, and he was in World War I, and he's kind of like a hero, and my family always kind of talked about him and told me about him. It's a very interesting story, and I think the reason why the Army or the federal government likes to use Alvin York's story is because it's a way of how they can convince a pacifist to go out and murder and kill, because he was a pacifist. And sorry, ignore that. He was a pacifist, but some things happened in his life and he ended up going to the war, and some things happened, and you can check into his story if you want, and again, this video is not about that. So when I graduated UCLA, I was going through something in my life, and I had always wanted to join the Army because I believed the lie. And so when I graduated from UCLA, I didn't go in as an officer. I enlisted because I wanted to go in, from the bottom up and earn my way. So thank God that I ended up fracturing my lower vertebrae into my hip, and after 1 year in the military, I was given an honorable discharge in what's called a med board. And actually on the med board, anytime within either 3 or 5 years, they can pull you back in. And I was told that in the surge in Iraq, that approximately 40,000 soldiers that were taken into that surge were former med boards like me. So I guess I still am at risk for getting taken into the evil corporate army. Anyways, this is the main thing that I wanted to talk about, which is this. I was really protective of the United States, and I couldn't stand everybody saying that there was a war for oil and we were just oil thirsty and we were really doing all these bad things. And this is before I was aware of the Federal Reserve, and I wasn't aware of Admiralty law. And so I feel like all these people out there, these quote-unquote good Americans who are defending these ideas, are just completely clueless about the Federal Reserve, and they're clueless about Admiralty law, and they truly believe that, don't go on welfare, don't do all these things because you're just going to suck money out of the United States and you're making us weaker, but they really don't realize that it's all a scam. For instance, I owe money right now to school loans, and I'm about to start school again, so they probably won't make me pay them right now. But the point being is that I feel like, I have to pay back those loans. I have to pay back those loans to be a good person. I don't want to be in debt. If I don't pay back those loans, man, screw those loans. It's all a scam. If I don't pay back those loans, it's not going to have a single effect on anybody, because let's say there's a guy out there and he's got some money and he's like, I want to loan this money to some students so they can go to school. It's important to pay that guy back his loans, because then he can pay it forward and loan some money to other people. But where we're getting our loans from, these FOFSA loans and all these other loans, it's coming from the printing press. These banks, when they don't get paid back, they just get $1 billion from the federal government. It's a scam, dude. Anyways, the Army is about to pay for another 4 years of my school, so I'm gonna turn it into something good. It's cool. All right, this is. I'm gonna wrap up this story now and make the end quick, because it's not something that needs to be discussed. You're gonna get the point right away. I went into the Army, and they get us into a big group in our platoon. They're like, why did you join the Army? And everybody comes up with these stories like, when I walk by the flag, I have to stop and see it and get all these feelings inside. And that's true. A lot of us, we love our country and we love our people. It's because we have love in our hearts. And they kind of take advantage of that, and it's the bottom line. So when I was in the Army, we got this drill sergeant. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to start some battle here or put negative energy out on somebody, because he's not the same person that he was when I knew him. We're all reborn into every moment, and to believe that you're the same person 5 minutes ago that you are now is just forcing yourself to reincarnate. So I don't want to, I don't want to bring that dead man back to life, the one that I knew in basic training in OSUT in infantry school. But there was this drill sergeant, and when we march around, we have these cadences, and one of the cadences was, we would say, shoot, move, communicate, kill. And it was 2 parts. There was 2 lines to it, and I'm not recalling all of it right now because I didn't even really prepare for this. It's just the point. What this drill sergeant wanted us to say is what I want to share with you. This caused me a little bit of drama in the Army, because I stood up to him. I wouldn't say it, and nobody would really respond to me. None of the people in my fellow platoon, they would not do anything about it because everybody was scared, and nobody gave a rat's ass. They were just like caring about just getting through it for themselves, for whatever goal. And I wasn't going to have it because I cared about this country. I saw what the news was saying about everybody and about the war effort, which I came to find out is all true. But this is what this drill sergeant wanted us to say. While we're marching, he would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we would say move, shoot, communicate, kill. And he would say, he'd either say 1, 2, 3, 4 again, or 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. So 1, 2, 3, 4, move, shoot, communicate, kill. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he wanted us to say burn, rape, murder, steal. And I kind of saw this guy as being just like a total loser scumbag. Low self-esteem, out of shape, chip on his shoulder, just total lowlife. And he wanted us to say burn, rape, murder, steal. I would not do it, and eventually I made sure that the first sergeant found out. I tried to go up, the chain of command, tried to go up the chain of command, and it wasn't going up anywhere. So finally I made sure that the first sergeant found out, and this drill sergeant came up to a group of us and he was like, did any of you tell First Sergeant about this. And I'm just standing right in front of him, and I just looked at him in his face, and I said, I did. He looked at me, he was like, what are you, stupid? What happens in the platoon is supposed to stay in the platoon. They commenced to get us up into our barracks, or whatever they call it, the bay. They call it our bay. And they have this thing where you like go total line. They have this like big box in the middle, so they can stand in the middle and yell at you while you stand on this line. And they commenced to just like smoke our asses, and just basically make sure that everybody in the platoon knew that that was happening because of what I did. But I'm not the kind of person that really falls prey to any of that kind of stuff, and I'll just sit there and tell everybody what's up right to their face. And luckily I'm blessed with having the strength to do that, and nobody really would ever say anything or do anything to my face. And they kind of understood, and I know that some of them even looked up to it, even though some people were pissed. But bottom line is, I never once said those words, burn, rape, murder, steal. And I guess you can say, oh, I went through tremendous hardship for standing up for myself, but I really didn't. It was great, it was fun, and you know, screw those guys, those drill sergeants. These two drill sergeants that I ended up having like 4 or 5 different drill sergeants or whatever, and there was other drill sergeants in the company. Really cool people, even though they're in the army, asleep, but really cool people. But these 2 drill sergeants, and even like it was confirmed that these 2 drill sergeants were the worst, most biggest scumbag drill sergeants around. But the point was that these 2 guys were some rotten apples, and try as they might to screw me over and put me in bad circumstances, I was protected. And not just because my first sergeant took a liking to me because he saw that I was a good person and I wasn't going to do anything, because some other stuff happened too, where these drill sergeants were having some guys beat some kids up. There was some like 17-year-old kids who joined the army, and he was having this guy who was I believe he was 34 years old or 32 years old or something like that. This big, huge guy, one of the biggest guys in the company. Him and some other guys and the platoon guy were choking these kids in their sleep and beating them up and holding pillows over their faces. What do they call that? They have a name for it or whatever, like whatever. Anyways, so man, this kind of stuff pissed me off. When one of our cool drill sergeants was leaving, I basically went to him. I went, listen, man, the reason that kid is having problems and you can't figure out what's wrong with him is because every night when he goes to sleep, this other fucker is holding a pillow to his face, and he's horrified. That's what's going on. And the drill sergeant was like, wow. And that drill sergeant was a good person, and he did something about it. Simultaneously, I had been going down to talk to the CO and the first sergeant because they were getting me into ranger school. And so I had simultaneously been down there, and so my drill sergeant went down there and told them about what they were doing. And some other guys saw me in front of there, and they thought that I was ratting those guys out or whatever. So they were looking at me like, my drill sergeant thought that I ratted them out about that, and he screamed at me that night. He told me if I went and ever talked to first sergeant again, he was going to stomp a mud hole in my face. Whatever. Anyways, that drill sergeant, they wouldn't let him say a cadence ever again. When it came time to graduation, they wouldn't let him say a cadence. So, ooh, what a punishment. The guy should have gotten kicked out of the army. He was a true scumbag. Do you know how many people I met in the army? These guys are murderers, and you can see they're trying to live their life because, oh no, it's right what I did. Everything's okay because I have this belief system that tells me it is. But then they really have this antagonism in their spirit and their soul, and they're like suffering. It's sad. It's a sad, sad thing. So, yeah, they're always, I just want to say, stand up for what you believe in. Even though what you believe in, your belief system at the time, might be wrong. You know what I mean? I was in the army. I supported what we were doing. But I did take Arabic and some other things, and I did consider being a chaplain because I really wanted to go there to help people. And I had some really positive influences on my life beforehand that were kind of starting to wake me up. And I had seen The Secret before I went to the army, and I was just kind of waking up, and so this was kind of like my last push to challenge my old belief systems. When I came back home, when God brought me back home, because when I fractured my spine, I was still marching with 90 pounds of gear for miles and miles and miles trying to make it. And I basically would have made it, and I would be in Iraq or Afghanistan right now if it wasn't for those two scumbag drill sergeants who wanted to screw me back, and they made it so I didn't graduate from infantry school. Thank God, right? It's such a blessing. I was marching, injured, reading some scripture like, you will run, you will not grow weary, and all this kind of stuff, and you will grow wings and fly, and all this. I was reading these scriptures like while I was marching. I memorized, and I was like saying it, had it in my pocket. I was taking it out and reading it. And thank God that God and my higher self knew what my true path should be and guided me back here, because when I came back, that's when I watched Esoteric Agenda and Kymatica, and I read Behold a Pale Horse and all these things, and I went through a major militia stage when I got back, a major rebellion, resistance stage, Alex Jones and everything, before I woke up, before my spirit woke up. And I appreciate those who helped me do that. And I started listening to Alan Watts, got into Eckhart Tolle, and I just realized all these things. I found out about the Federal Reserve and Admiralty Law, and eventually I went fully to the spiritual side. So I'm a political science major from UCLA, so it wasn't easy for me to it was easy for me to give up politics, man. Like, when I got back from the Army, I started recording the news 24 hours a day and uploading stuff to YouTube about New World Order and all this kind of stuff. But now I'm into the spiritual, and I have my old channel, Political Aficionado, that I don't really visit anymore, and now I have a Chosen Shaman. So I had a really powerful experience that had me start that channel one day. A lot of it has to do with some really cool people like Ian Zell Lungold and even Gitaoist. You guys know Gitaoist, his channel? And then the Magic Mushrooms too, those helped. But anyways, be peaceful, my friends. Always seek peace, always create. And if somebody wants you to do something and you feel that hesitation, don't listen to what your mind says, listen to what your soul and what you're feeling, because that's what's coming from your guidance. And I'm glad that I stood up to those bastards, and I don't even want to call them bastards, you know what I mean? That's not very loving, but you know what I'm saying. I'm glad I stood up to them, and did what I believed in, even though it brought me hardship. I mean, they tried to screw me hard. Like, they kept me in, like, when I got injured after basic training, I stayed on and I worked for my first sergeant. And yeah, that drill sergeant, he tried to befriend me a couple times, but then what happened was, like, when I got injured, I went home for a month, and while I was gone, this kid got murdered in the bed next to me. And this is a whole other part that I wasn't even going to mention, but this kid got murdered in the bed next to me. And when I came home, they had taken that guy's platoon away. And I'm not going to get into the details of how that happened, but this chaplain came up to me, and he knew to come to me, and he was like, listen, this guy Doug, oops, whatever, this guy is a bad guy, and we want him out of there. So they wanted me to write a sworn statement, and my first sergeant wanted me to do it too. And I was like, man, I don't want to get deeper into this, but I made a sworn statement. I was like, forget it, this guy is really a scumbag, and there's a reason why this happened in his platoon, or why the kid got murdered and everything. This guy's bringing a lot of bad energy. So I made a sworn statement because this guy had, like, done something to majorly screw me. So when I had my fractured spine, I went on a march to try to make it up, to make it, to graduate, to go on to airborne and to ranger school when my back got better. And this guy literally lied on my march and reduced the distance and lied about the time. He just did a lot of things to screw me over. And so I made a sworn statement of everything this guy had done. And he really tried to screw me after that. But, you know, nothing screws me, man, because I got that inner happiness. Even when I'm depressed, I'm super happy still. So now I'm gonna stay in Lakesh, peace in the valley. I have no idea how long this video is going, so take care of you guys, and that's my little army story. I'm glad to be back here with you.